What's up?
Okay. Hello, hello.
All right, so basically, I'm gonna tell you all the tips and shit I've learned and dealt with while trying to build up NASA, and then Joel can help with the stuff of actually like checking out the hotels this year and the past year. And did the first? No one checked the first year,
Yeah,
which was one of the
that's a good point.
things we learned pretty quick, which is it's kind of unfortunate that all the people who, like make marathons, they don't really like give the like here's the shit we dealt with, so here, you should all know. It's like it's one of the sources of information or like troubleshooting things that's not really publicly talked about, even though it probably should be because it's just good to have info.
Yeah, people don't talk much about it at all.
Yeah, so I guess for whatever marathon you're making, if it's like you and like your house want to do like a 24-hour marathon or just all the games you run back to back, or you want to hang out with some people, the very first thing you should focus on is like what are the goals? What do you want to get out of the marathon? Because like the ones I mentioned, if people just want to do a 24-hour marathon, see if they could do it, do all their games, or like achieve like a certain follower count or something. Like just find the goal and stick to it. Because if you're just like doing a marathon for the sake of doing it, you might not like know why you're doing it or what you're getting out of it. So if like find the reason you want to do it, the goal inside of that, and specifically for NASA, basically, uh, like GDQs have gotten really big, like over 1,500 people. Like that's a lot of people.
Yeah, at least 1,500. Nowadays, it's
And
shooting up 2,000 higher.
yeah, like let's be honest, a lot of the speed gamers aren't exactly like social paragons of extroversion. So it's like some smaller scale stuff is nice. So just like a small hangout is kind of what I wanted. So I kind of just tried to get the ball rolling on that, and people showed up. Because I think that's another thing is also like a lot of speedrunners are really lazy, me included. Like you just need to get a ball rolling, and people will help you out with that.
Yeah, nobody wants to be the first person to make something. But if
Yeah.
somebody makes something and says, come show up to this and you'll be able to have fun and meet up with some people that you will know online, it's much more likely that you actually get people showing up.
Yeah, so like for the goal of just like having fun doing whatever just hang out with speed friends, support speed friends, just do whatever. Uh, for that specific goal, it's like basically for like the marathon we made, the schedule we make, it's just like whatever whatever runs are fun. You could give like some pretty heavy preference, uh, like if it's something like from someone you like, or just something that's funny, like the Todd Rogers Dragster Memorial. Like that didn't get in, but because of the skill involved in the game, it was just because it's man, that shit's funny, and I just want to have a lot of fun. So if you want to make a marathon, maybe it's like purely the text like hardcore execution skill, that shit like that you wouldn't put in. You'd be like, well, obviously F-Zero GX, get all that stuff. You just find the goal you want,
Yep,
focus on it.
we're all about the fun here.
So I guess yeah, like I mentioned, 24-hour marathons. One thing is like the length of the marathon. Maybe you just want to do like like 8 hours, like a marathon, because that could be short, just like all the games you run. Or
Yeah.
we got a spreadsheet up on the projector.
Like somebody like John
Weekend
Con
long.
that was actually done recently. I know Dark Fox ran that, and that was just an 8-hour thing. You know, he set it up, we got it going on our channel, and it was a short, had maybe 6 or 7 runs, and that was it, and they were
Yeah.
done.
But also, yeah, the specifically with the number of people. If it's just you yourself running it, then you kind of have like total control. Like the size and the like scope of the group. Whereas NASA, we currently have like 80-ish people. If you have like a group of just like 5 people in a town, you could just find who has like the biggest house. See what games you like to play. Maybe you could just play Mario Party for a weekend. Because I know like the Eliters during the eclipse went down to Chicago. I think they stayed with Grav. So there's like 5 of them just streaming like whatever games they had while waiting for the eclipse, and that was like a marathon of just Eliters hanging out.
Yeah.
And it's like you don't need necessarily to like raise like a $2 million for charity. or host like a specific schedule of runs. It's just whatever you want to do, you can do it.
Yeah, determine what value your marathon's going to have. If that's just, everyone at the event, have they had
Yeah.
fun? Did we raise the $500 we wanted to raise?
Because
Set
yeah,
a
I think one of the
realistic goal.
best examples of that is Meme-a-thon, where they just going into it, it's like they just wanted to like do memes and shit and jokes, and it's fucking great.
Yep.
I hope TwoDOS makes more of those because they're always a hell of a blast. Because it's like you know exactly what they want and what you want when watching it.
Yeah.
It's like the goals are just perfectly laid out, so it's like really easy to understand why everyone's there.
Yeah, your goal is to laugh and have a good
Yeah.
job at the crazy things that go on
And,
and the different meme things.
It's probably like I think it's like the best online marathon I've seen, or yeah, I'd just say it is. So, but when you have multiple people, so you like if you're on your own, you get streaming like your basement or whatever the hell you usually stream. When you get multiple people, you start like, well, were you gonna like fit these together? Maybe you have like a 1-bedroom apartment or something. I'd recommend just like find who has if you're all in like the same city, find who has like the biggest house or apartment. See if you could all chill out in the same thing.
Yeah.
Once you starting to get enough people where it's like you can't really fit it, like you don't really like try to spend as little money as possible. So like hotels and conferences rooms, that's like several $100s per day. You could like the absolute cheapest. I remember the first NASA we were looking at like Airbnbs, which if you only have like 30 people, you could get like 3 nearby, and that could potentially work.
Yeah, that's kind of for the low scale stuff, like
Yeah.
absolute low scale, like one.
Well,
person,
actually, yeah, I
it's a
remember bringing
baseline.
up the absolute lowest price would be to rent a van and then park it out of a 24/7 restaurant with Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
and you would use their power outlets outside to power a computer that you could stream off of, and then use their Wi-Fi and eat their food.
I
And
know
that
for
would-
NASA 2016, with how bad the internet was, that almost seemed like a realistic
Yeah,
option.
like you could do that if you literally was like your goal was to spend as little money as possible. That would be it, I think, if you're gonna have like multiple people. But if you want some level of comfort, then yeah, like either houses they already have, Airbnbs, and then you kind of have to jump up to like hotels because there's no real middle ground that I've found.
Yeah, hotels are about when you're kind of between that, let's say 30 to maybe any bit bigger than
like
that,
it kind of
yeah.
scales up price wise. Like for a week-long event, like 70 to 100 US dollars, that could be like scale proportionally with like virtually any size. I think like GDQs or even like what is it, like huge events like
Are you talking about like other cons and stuff
well,
like
like
that? Or?
giant fighting game. What's the big fighting Evo?
Yeah,
Like
Evo,
what's the
yeah.
price for that?
I couldn't throw. Up
I mean, I imagine it's like it's somewhere in the 100, like around 100 US dollars. I imagine.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with it because I don't know shit about fighting games, but it's probably in that. It seems like from what I've looked at, like the person per like square foot or whatever. That's like a price point that seems to scale well.
As long as you're being realistic about it, because when you're choosing kind of the hotel locations and stuff like that, when you're looking at, for example, where we're hosting it right now in St. Catharines, where it's not somewhere as close to maybe a popular city center, you can be a little more realistic about the prices because, for example, for here, we're looking at an average room being maybe 400 US or Canadian a day.
Yeah, well, that's another thing. It's like if everyone's in the same city, then it's like, all right, what's the cheapest Airbnb? Well, when you have with NASA, where it's like I have friends like over from ESA or whatever, where it can be anyone across continents or countries. It would be like, all right, what cities are like major airline hubs? What would be like the shortest distance between all people, like geometric median?
Mm-hmm.
But that's not necessarily the same per like price per distance, but it's like close-ish.
Yeah.
So for us, it was like Toronto and Chicago area-ish, or like two big
those
hubs.
came up as the tops.
But even that being considered, like Toronto itself, if you're getting a hotel in Toronto, it's going to be super expensive. Likewise with Chicago.
Yeah, even just getting outside,
And
like if you're comparing last year to this year, where we
this
were
one's
much closer,
this one's actually cheaper and
we have
way
more
space.
Yeah.
But when you're looking for a venue, the first thing after the first nest, like the very first thing I always look for is 24/7 food restaurants. Before any of that shit, just like whatever once you find like whatever city or like place you want to do it in, general location, find like that Tim Hortons, that McDonald's. Like if you're having a 24-hour event specifically, people are going to finish a run at any time of day or night, and they're going to want to eat. So having that option is nice. Theoretically, you could do like a day-only marathon, like everyone sleeps at night.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have to deal with that problem. But
The-
if your goal is specifically a 24/7 event, then you would want like food 24/7. Because I remember a lot of people, oh yeah, HQ 2015, I think, where it's like after 2 a.m. to like 8 a.m. There's like just like a 6 hour gap
of
where you couldn't
nothing.
really eat food, and that's like dead night, dead in the middle of night. But it's like for a handful of people, it's like, man, that sucks.
Yeah, and
Because
you
if you're
kind of need to know your audience there too, because if
maybe you're
everyone's
graveyard
driving in,
shift.
then it's not as much of an issue. But if you have a lot
Yeah.
of people coming in by buses, by different transits, then you kind of need to be a little more aware of that.
Yes,
Because
yeah, especially if you're a driver, because then it's like you're like permanently like an Uber driver, food delivery guy for
yeah,
a week if the food systems or the food setup's not good. So like very first thing would be yeah, get those like those Denny's, those IHOPs, those 24/7 places. If you can find like 3 close together, and it's like just look for hotels near that shit on Google
yeah,
Maps,
of course.
and that's like that's the good stuff. Like this one, it was Tim Hortons, a McDonald's,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, if we're looking for
think there's
24-hour
something
stuff,
else.
yeah, there's the Tim Hortons, there's the McDonald's. If we're talking for other 24-hour places right next to us, those are kind of the ones off the top of my head. There are a
But
few
yeah.
that are open pretty late till about 3
Basically,
a.m.
yeah. And throughout the city, I would just look for 24/7 places,
Yeah.
and then check any hotel that's within like a 5-minute walking distance. Because like I'm lazy as shit, I wouldn't want to walk earlier than that to eat. And basically, just ask every single one of those hotels. It's like look at their site. They usually have like floor plans for like the size of the rooms. Like the price is kind of like it's heavily dependent on like the week, the day, the day,
Time of the
like,
year.
time of the year, the days of the week, how long the hold is. So like they can't really give like just a flat quote, but just if you just ask them, like they want to sell this shit.
Yeah.
So if you ask for quotes, they'll give it to you, and then you just like find like what's the cheapest. And the issue the only issue then is like you want to ask them for specifically size of the rooms, like you want to know the info of like where the outlets are, and like wired internet specifically, because a lot of these hotels, it's like they usually will have like like conferences and stuff that have like wireless internet, and not many people care about wired.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
for,
we ran into
streaming,
that this year.
yeah, for streaming stuff, it's like you want that wired, and
Yep.
they might not they might generally not know if they must think like the tech guys and the hotel dudes, they might like not be the same people.
Yeah.
The first one I remember, one of the guys that worked at the hotel, he was like, we asked him like, so it's like the wired internet thing, it's working. He's like, oh no, we haven't tested it in like 6 years or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. There were, and the thing
Because-
is, some of the places even have, like even if they ask, and this is why always checking in person. And one of the things we decided that needed to be a must after NAS 2016, because like even if they say they have a
Because
wired
they
panel,
might genuinely not know.
yeah. But the thing is, other times like they've had they said, okay, we had a wired panel, and you'd go there and plug something in,
and
and
it
it just
it
wouldn't
doesn't
work.
What? What?
What?
Oh yeah, it's not supposed to be. Don't
Yeah,
worry. That's the next
later
one.
on. Yeah.
What the hell was that?
We
Yeah,
were talking about internet wired ports that they said they had one, and yeah, it did not work at all. So
Yeah,
you just
I
plugged
would
it in
like
and it didn't work.
the moment you're getting above like beyond like an Airbnb venue, it's like it's worth everyone's like money and interest involved that you like someone checks it out.
Yeah.
Which for this event was Joel.
Yeah.
Those
So
crazy guys.
yeah, it was so that was kind of my thing, and like just quickly talking about actually looking in how to get people the physical checks. So yeah, one thing when we're looking for these hotels, you want to get them ahead of time. Because these places can book out pretty quick, so you
Yeah,
want
like
at least
at
6
least
months.
6. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like even that's pushing it.
Yeah, ideally more like a year, 6 months to a year.
I think GDQs they do it like 2
Oh
even
yeah,
more,
yeah.
but that's like
they're huge.
That,
They need
yeah,
to work
that
with entire
literally is
hotels.
million dollar events.
Yeah, so in that case, yeah, we want to reach out to them early. You want to make sure that the rooms you're looking for are actually available for tour, because if they're like, oh, we'll show you one nearby, well, that doesn't really work good enough, because the thing is that when you want to check the internet, sure, maybe the plugs work in that room, but the other room might have a completely different setup.
Yeah, you want the exact room that
yeah.
like you're going to be paying for.
Yeah. And when I'm the only person looking for it in this case, the one thing we do, always bring a laptop and bring an Ethernet cable, quickly check the internet, make sure it runs, check all of them, make sure they work. as well, like for example, I would take pictures and a video quickly around the room because since I'm, and I was with Aries as well, and we were the only ones who were actually able to check this one in person. The other people who are interested in kind of the planning of the event also want to see it in their entirety. So having that just for planning purposes is very useful.
Yeah, and once you like have like quotes from several hotels, like they can be haggled. Like if you're just friendly with them and you'd be like, oh, like another hotel offered like a slightly better price, they might be able to knock like some money off.
Because I think that's what happened last year. Is that
Yeah, it's like you might as well you might as well tell them it's like we're probably gonna go with a different hotel because it's offered a better price, and like they might be like, well, all right.
Yeah.
Good,
I think
good
we got
luck
a
too, yeah.
few hundred
And
knocked
then,
off
like,
per day last year.
Yeah,
because
like
we
a
just
couple
showed,
might be like, yeah,
competing.
we could give you a better deal. But and also with the hotel contract specifically, ideally you want as much in the contract as possible for you. Like if wired internet specifically is in the contract, or like request all that shit.
24-hour request.
24, yeah, the most important, yeah. If you want a 24-hour event, you request that 24/7 hold, because by default they'll usually have like 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. or something
I think
like that.
the original contract we were given this year was 7 a.m. till midnight, and so we asked for 24 hours and they fixed it. We actually ran into the issue on Monday night when we were setting up because they actually locked the doors.
Yeah, because they're like
to the conference
they're
room.
very very used to like having the
because nobody comes in here during the night normally. So the thing is, they completely locked them.
So yeah, it's like and
we
that
had to get
yeah,
them
that's like
locked.
the contract might say it, but like the people who work there, they'll be like, whoa, that's like weird. So like they're just used to a routine where that doesn't happen.
Yeah, well, because the thing is, they had an old version of the contract, and that's why it is
Oh,
important to get it
yeah,
up there.
like,
Because they looked at the
that
contract
one wasn't
and said,
signed though. Like,
well, yeah. So they
Yeah.
looked at that contract and said, oh, well, you don't have it during the night. And we said, well, look at the new contract
Yeah.
because yes, we do have that.
so yeah, like specifically like if you want the 24/7 marathon, make sure the 24/7 hold is in the contract.
Yeah.
Beyond that, and then the next would be like having like equipment, because if you're just at your house, you already have it. If you're in town, all your buddies have it. But once you're like you're picking a city and like you're gonna stream like in Toronto or Toronto area, you need like people who can like bring the equipment there. For in our case, it was like Lurk, mostly Dark Aries, Lurk, Dark Fox, and like just
Yeah.
like
so
all
so
the staff
well,
guys.
and
A
the
lot
thing
of
is,
them,
everyone
yeah,
helps.
a lot of
little
them,
bit.
yeah, like a lot of them, like two of them lived in like around St. Catharines, and a few of them could like drive here, and so something like just straight up, I don't know, Las Vegas, literally Las Vegas. It's like I don't know if any of like us. Or certainly none of us are like live near there, so like you would have to pay a lot of money to get equipment there.
Mhm.
So like, not just like people traveling there, but the equipment to actually host the event is another huge
And
issue.
renting people's expensive. So ideally, if you have somebody
Yeah.
who can do it, and is willing to help and bring equipment, that's really useful. Renting certain pieces of equipment can actually be pretty cheap, like maybe at music stores, at things like that. Like we rented some pieces of items for maybe $9 for the whole
microphones and
week.
stuff.
Yeah, so you can rent a lot of equipment for cheap if you just need something for a short period of time. But when you're talking about, the actual manpower, the majority of the equipment, ideally you want to kind of plan that around who's close by.
Yeah.
Especially like once you start having a lot of people coming, you get a much larger variety of consoles. You get a much larger variety of different needs. Like somebody might run on different versions of different consoles, or maybe their PC run requires Windows 7 compatibility compared to Windows 10, so things might mess up there.
And one of the goals, like Dark Aries one specifically, was having like good video quality. So that's like something I'm really not that familiar with about. Like certainly, I like most of the tech here is like beyond my understanding.
I'm slowly picking up into it.
Yeah,
but yeah,
and it's like so with that goal in mind, it's like you pretty much only the people who can like drive like have a car and can drive to the event can like really host it.
Yeah. If you're more interested in that, by the way, tomorrow we're gonna have
the tech guy will do a panel on that, which will be much more informative than this one, no doubt.
Yes.
And the equipment used, to be driving distance. There was something in my train of thought.
That I rudely interrupted.
No. I think I just forgot it before you even interrupted.
Yeah.
And I counter-interrupted.
You've got your half.
Yeah, it was equipment. Your venue, not just like wherever. It needs to be essentially, like you can't have it just anywhere, even if it's like everyone's in Toronto. And they're like, yeah, let's do it here. But the one guy with like the know-how and the tech lives in like fucking Montreal. It's like you might as well do it in Montreal to a point if he can't really make out. So it's like you do need to have some like compromises in that sense.
Hmm.
And because it's like every year I've been pushing for Sandusky, Ohio, so I could go to Cedar Point for a day or two.
Because that's obviously another thing when you're looking to make one of the goals. Like, for example, one of Naegleria's goals is there needs to be an amusement park relatively
Yeah,
nearby.
that's one of my personal goals. I really like roller coasters. And just a heads up for anyone making schedules, a lot of people will like have planned trips, it's like like for here it's like Niagara Falls or Canada's Wonderland. When making the schedule, like next year certainly I'm gonna have like, are you going to like Cedar Point or whatever? Like, are you going to the amusement park trip? Like that we're gonna all put it on like this Wednesday or some
Yeah,
shit.
because otherwise that's one thing I've had to do this year is I've been kind of
Yeah,
the schedule
it's
man
like
where
there was like 19 people. It's like, yeah, we're going, and like half of them have like runs on that day, and we have to shift it around. So you
yeah.
can make it easier on yourself by just asking like, oh, like what things do you like? Because they might not know what days it are. If they just like, yeah, I'll be there the whole event. But like if they plan on going to Wonderland or doing like taking part in some tournament, someone's uh, taking part in. So as far as the like availability goes, asking them what specific things they want to do can
Hmm.
really help you. You can schedule around that. Just have like planned days for, yeah, like Wednesdays Wonderland Day, Thursdays Niagara Falls, or whatever
Yep.
trip you want to do.
Hmm.
And that'll make scheduling a lot more consistent.
Yeah.
Other thing is, yeah, it's like people like shit's gonna happen. People are gonna like drop out or have some. They might not be able to make it, and it's like, yeah, shit happens.
The question I just on here, but do you get group rates if you're talking about for Wonderland? Yes.
For Wonderland, it's if you have 15 people or more, I think you can get it for 35 or 36.99, which is like plus tax, which is like $40.67 per person.
Yeah.
As for the hotel specifically, generally,
The hotel room group
I,
rates
I
we
think
got.
it's a similar thing. If you book 15 or so, it depends on the hotel. But if you have like double-digit hotel rooms you're booking, they could give you like 10 something percent
Yeah.
off.
And make sure to inquire in that.
It's completely hotel specific. There's
Yeah.
no like general
Yeah. Be sure to ask
group
them
rate
about
for
the
that.
group rate when you're looking.
And yeah, that's also something that would be in the contract is
Mhm.
like book rate, hotel rooms that are booked off, how many, and like potentially even what floors or what specific numbers they
Exactly. Yeah.
are. So one thing I'd like is have it's like all floor one.
Yeah.
But you
that would
need to
be-
kind of do that. You need to book it really early
Mhm.
because lots of people, for whatever reason, like airlines will have like hotels, like a dedicated rooms booked for, people that work
me.
in airlines and fly around.
Yeah.
So having like an entire floor booked out, you need to do that like a year in advance, but it'd be
Yeah.
chill as hell.
Yeah. You definitely want to prepare a lot more in advance for something like that.
Uh,
So do you want to go to like content?
yeah, the content you choose. I mean that's kind of like already in the it was earlier on like what specific game, if you have a game like a theme
Yeah.
like the Meme-a-thon or the
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Mario
But well, I guess
Thon.
one thing we can also talk about is like when we're talking about for this event, when we're talking about people actually submitting and kind of ideas for what content you want to accept.
Oh yeah.
Because,
Yeah, that would that would factor in like the goals of like for basically, yeah, what ESA and we did was basically the only the only real factors were like length and entertainment.
Yeah.
You could like split those into subdivisions of like the quality of commentary or gameplay or just the game's comedy itself or whatever.
Yeah.
But basically, just length and entertainment in a run, or
Yeah.
oh yeah, even entertainment from just like how like awesome a particular run is. Like F-Zero GX is obviously god tier.
Of course. And also, like, one thing that we generally like to do is, at least for now, due to the fact of, the number of submissions we have and stuff like that, we do like trying to let most people who submit, if not
Yeah.
all, get at least one run in to showcase their stuff. Because, sure, some people that, you may notice might not have the world record, their times might be a little
Yeah.
bit behind, but the thing is that you still want to give people the opportunity to show off the games that they're passionate about. So
Also, yeah, like one of the goals I would like just to like have like a lot of variance,
Mhm,
like,
yeah.
to different genres and shit.
yeah.
Yeah, you have like things where it's like not so much
Underrepresented?
underrepresented, but certainly yeah, like before RPG Limit Break,
Yeah.
RPG games. It's like if you're gonna dedicate a finite amount of time to like speed runs, like RPGs are almost like guaranteed the first to go just because
Yeah,
they're
'cause
really
you,
long.
You don't want to commit 6
And,
hours. So you can put 6 1 hour.
Yeah,
runs.
so having like just like a marathon dedicated to those games specifically, it's like that. You can find like what communities you got, who you want to help out, what do you want to do.
Yep,
make
absolutely.
some cool stuff.
Yeah, and there's like, for example, NFL Street. Get those sports games in there. We
Oh
got
hell
Giant
yeah!
Motion doing that tomorrow,
Oh
so
yeah,
gotta get
I'm
that
excited for
sports
that.
representation.
Sports games, yeah, it's like there's a reason people you don't see that many people running them, but yeah,
Every once in a while, you get
NBA Jam and NFL Street, I
nice solid
respect.
sports runs.
Any
Yeah.
more questions from chat?
Yeah, there's a couple that like just I would figured yeah if you have any questions in
Boo-boo.
chat we'll answer them. The one I see when it says wider internet not working in current year. Yeah, it's surprising. A lot of places actually like switching over to wireless now because
Yeah,
most people bring laptops. They're just using them for conferences and presentations.
less issues with cables too.
Yeah, plus issues with cables. It's a lot easier to maintain just a single wired connection for the whole room. So a lot of these
Well, not
places
yeah,
don't get
not just
requests for it.
not just a wire connection from the whole room, but like rather than a wire to every individual hotel room or conference center,
Yeah.
you just have one thing that kind of like branches around a crap ton of them.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
like dedicated wired internet does take more money, but it's hella worth it. Oh yeah, if you specifically got questions,
Yeah, what do you got?
yeah, I could just re-ask it or
Okay.
whatever. All right, our own ski craze Teddy here has a question. You can just say it in the mic. You don't even need to wear it necessarily.
All right. So I'm a person who has organized marathons before in
Cool.
a small scale. And what recommendations do you have for someone who's organized marathons just inside a conference space in a Dave and Buster's, things like that? Just what do you have recommendations wise to just get out to the speedrunners who are out there on Twitter, on Discord, on Twitch, etc.?
Yeah.
Spreading the word. In addition to that, what recommendations do you have for people who are, just people like me who are just
You
trying
just
to
want to get
organize
like
small
a
marathons?
big. You want to make like a big cool event sort of deal.
Yeah, just as long as 10 or 12 people show up, enough people to just do
Well,
a
yeah.
run. That's all we need.
If
for,
that's your goal, I'm guessing it's like you'd be limited somewhat in like where you couldn't like. You probably want to do it near the city you live in. Ooh, be careful.
Oops, sorry.
Like near the city you live in. I'd say I remember like there was a Chicago thon of just people that lived in Chicago. Like find who lives nearby, see what games they're interested in, and try to see on the like there's certainly like that'd be like community outreach of like let's say like this community is cool. Let's just make a marathon dedicated to this specific community.
Yeah.
Uh,
One other thing to look for in this is if you're talking about like specific locations and stuff like that. One of the things that you might want to look for is that if you know people in that area, it's a lot easier sometimes. Like if you can get a few people in on something when you're looking to maybe try and grow it or figure out how to plan something. If you say, "Oh, I know these 10 people in the area," just reaching out to all of them and saying, "Hey, if we organized an event like this, would you be interested in attending?" That way, kind of gaining that initial interest idea before you start planning it. Because if your biggest worry is, I want to host this big event in this conference space, and then you're like, time to open submissions, and then nobody submits. Well, if you at least have some idea that there are people who are interested and would submit.
Yeah, essentially, like before making opening submissions or anything, that you should I'd recommend you talk to the people that you want to come and see what do you want out of a marathon. For me and all the people I've talked to, it's we just want to hang out for a while, and so that's just book a random spot. But if you want a specific online or on site in person event, it'd be finding. What do y'all want? Do you want to just speedrun specific Crash Bandicoot or some shit? And we'll do that if you want to.
Yeah.
I don't know, spend half the day watching King of Kong over and over. Do that.
Yeah.
It's it's not the goals that necessarily you want, but find the goals that each individual in the community wants.
And if it so
and,
happens to
tailor
match with
it
yours,
to them.
yeah. And if it so happens to match yours, that's even better.
Try to find what would be what you want out of it.
Shout outs to NASA for if anybody wants to organize an event. NASA is happy to help
Oh yeah.
staff
Yeah.
or with their
I would give
Naegleria
a stream.
organizers,
Yeah.
Yeah, if anyone wants to make their own marathon and you use NASA for it, I'd give you the stream key.
Yeah,
As long
yeah.
as you just the main rule is don't do anything that would get the stream banned.
Yeah. Generally, you can reach
There
out
is
to
certain
most of
a
us.
level of trust. It's if you're just a literal rando I've never heard of, but it's anyone I've met in person, I'd probably give them a stream key if they want to do
Just
shit.
we
Oh
already
yeah,
have a
another
few
thing.
helps.
Yeah, with Twitch specifically is that Sinister One and Rom Scout are they're cool dudes. Rom Scout's more specifically does charity stuff, but Sinister One, if talk to him and it's he got Unusual Cook Swampathon, which was just cook on his own playing like Shrek games, and it's like Sinister One got that front page. It's
And
like
there you go,
that's how cool Sinister One
Yeah.
is.
I got another question on
Yeah?
organizing marathons.
Go for it.
Don't give me the mic, just anything.
Okay.
But just like, what would be a central location for anybody who's interested in speedruns to find all the speedruns that are coming up? I know our speedruns sometimes post stuff.
Hararo.
Yeah.
Best I know of is Hararo.
Yeah, Hararo. Some people do use our
It's
speedrun.
still
They
not
they have a
perfect.
sidebar there. Yeah, Hararo's not perfect. There's not like the three places
There's
I
no
see it.
centralized
Yes.
location. The best, Hararo.org is like it's literally like a calendar of events like
Yeah,
that.
so you can find some stuff there. Yeah, the speedrun sidebar. What was the other one that we had just listed?
And
there?
honestly, yeah, just like asking
Yeah.
people that run specific game, like people in the like if you know a bunch of people who run like F-Zero or whatever game you run, just be like, you know of any online or on site or online events going on.
So we have another question. I'll just run
Because
down
there's
the
more
list.
popping up. Like literally, I hear about some that I've
Yeah.
never heard.
So like any tips regarding donations, charity, I'll start with this one. So in like for example, in this case, when you're talking about that's one thing you can look into is do we want to do this for a charity? One of the things that a lot of people think is that if you're hosting a marathon, it needs to have a charity attached. That's not the case. But the thing is that if you decide I do want to help somebody, I do want charity or donations, you have to make sure to set reasonable goals. Don't come in if it's your first time starting something.
Yeah,
and
it's
say,
like
we're
I'm gonna kill GDQ. We're gonna hit $10 million.
Yeah, that's not something that,
Yeah.
that you want to plan for. If you're like, I enjoy this charity here, I'm gonna host it, and it so happens there's some charities. If we
Yeah.
raise $20, that's great. But the thing is, don't say I want to host a marathon. So what charity are we choosing? You don't.
Another
need to
thing
do
is like
that.
you need to accept that like failures like very well can and will happen.
Yeah.
That's like shit happens.
Yeah, it's more common, especially if you don't
Like
have that
you
huge
you could like
viewership.
straight up like fuck up an event. That doesn't mean you can't make a good one after that.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the thing is that you can't set these huge goals, and that's 100% what you're going to hit. You want to be a little more realistic.
Yeah,
with
and
that.
I guess if it'd be like for charities, I guess it would be like find like a cause you believe in or you care about.
Yeah, 100%. That's
Like for GDQ specifically, it's like prevent cancer prevention for AGQ,
Doctors Without
which
Borders.
and then Doctors
summer.
Without Borders for like summer, and those are like two things a lot of people care about.
Yeah.
And as for like donations specifically, I noticed that like it can be really hard like where if it was like I remember we had a discussion on this thing on one of Spike's podcasts years ago where it's like a really high number can be also almost like a disincentive from donating if it's like like $10,000 like that's not gonna get hit, like having a lower number at first and then like you hit it and then you raise it again can be better, but also I remember, like whenever I'm watching runs, I'll just be like, $10 if you, it's like a AKC during F0GX. Like I'll give you a pizza, buy you a pizza, if you, do it like a super suicide, or just $10 if like I'll donate $10 if you do that. Like stuff that's on site and like people can see. It's like a tangible thing. Like it will generate a lot more interest because the number that's donated to the charity can almost seem like an arbitrary, intangible, just non-coherent thing, but just seeing shit happen on screen in camera, it gives like a more immediate effect that can like draw it can draw people's interest in, I guess, as well as just like with donating to charities in general, it's like if they're just like prevention awareness can be kind of hard to just point to like this is like the effect that we've good that we've done. It's like where it's not necessarily
instant gratification is a good word.
Yeah, instant gratification basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good thing to add on to this.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, go for it.
I'll just pass.
So,
give some extra.
Yeah, this is Ski Craze Teddy here, by the way.
Yup.
Hello, chat. And hello to the panel. I'm asking a few questions here because as someone who's sort of done marathons before, but basically one of the things I wanted to ask is, for example, I play Magic: The Gathering, and I play with a bunch of people. I know CFB, I know Dark Fox, I know Theyflower, I know a bunch of people that play Magic: The Gathering, for example, and that's just a side event thing where it's like I brought a bunch of packs. Anybody want to draft? That sort of thing. Do you have any advice on the sort of social navigation, and just sort of when you book a room, how do you find roommates? How do you organize trips to, maybe not necessarily trips to Wonderland, but for example, I went with a bunch of people to Niagara Falls, and that was
Yeah,
a lot
basically
of fun.
like interest groups
Yeah.
for specific things.
So how would someone who is new to speed runs or new to a community really get to connect with people, and how would they be able to have fun outside of the runs at the
All
event?
right, well-
Because that might be difficult for someone who's new to
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
There's like a handful of questions there. I guess first would be as for specific values, like find the one that's most important to you. Like for me, Canada's Wonderland. It would be like find the people that want to go to that and fucking go to it. As for like specific roommates, like even for all the ESA or GDQs, it's like to me personally that didn't really matter. It's like I just sleep in the room, so I would just like with random people or whatever. It doesn't matter to me. If it does, then like I would be like people that you know online or something. Other than that, it would. I guess that's something I personally don't know much about because that's just like
one
a little
of the
random
other
work
things
for me.
that I like when you're talking about just interest groups and stuff like that. Just if you look in a Discord, for example, for an event for NASA, we have our own Discord. So the thing is, we have one for events where if you're interested in something, you can say, "Hey, I'm here. Is anyone interested in this thing?" If nobody responds, well, maybe there isn't anyone. And for a smaller event, it might be hard to get these interest groups. You know, when you have 10 people coming to an event compared to 80 compared to 2,000. That's the case in anything. The bigger something gets, the more people you have with specific interests.
And yeah, the more you can like I guess further like not compartmentalize or segregate, but
well, the more
well, it's
the
like
more
yeah,
diverse.
like more people like study chemistry, the more it's like you split it into finer specific specifics like specific values. Like I just like find the ones that pique your interest and ask like who likes playing chess 3. And then you'd be like, all right, we're gonna like dedicate a day to that, like not just like hang out and do it. We could dedicate specific days.
You had a question there, yeah.
Oh yeah, it was on our conference room internet connection is linked to the hotel.
Sometimes.
Sometimes like you can ask for like a dedicated line or and stuff like that, which. If you want to do a streaming thing, you absolutely do want like to ask for like a dedicated. We want our own like ask for a specific bit rate too. Ask what bit rates they can give and test it out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's like because they might genuinely not know what it is, or have it been even they might know what it was like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So having a dedicated line can like guarantee that, so it's during the middle of the day and everyone's using it.
So I think we're hitting the end of what we want to talk here now. We'll see if there's any other questions like right on here. If not,
I just have maybe comments if you want me to.
Well, one second. Let me check out. Well, while you're maybe
where's the
checking
speedrun Tinder?
If you believe in something, you can create it.
Yeah, like if you really want speedrun Tinder and you can find enough people who also care about it, get it done. That's essentially any marathon or group. It's just people who want shared values.
Macronatural gameplays right up next.
Yeah. Which kind of? Oh yeah, like that each like a marathon would like a speedrun marathon must necessarily have a charity. Like in theory, like I guess it's like a much more casual thing would be not even having a schedule like the elite meetup at like Graviton's house or whatever the fuck it was, where it's like
or like a bonus.
Or essentially it's just a hangout. Yeah, it's kind of like a bonus stream. Like it's literally just a hangout. It's like if that's what you want out of your event, it's just like a really casual. Me and my buddies are gonna play games. You could do that, but one issue with that is like if you're, like when you're having like such a large meetup, there kind of needs like a lot of people like want some kind of structure out of it. So like a schedule or like some kind of marathon thing like that is almost like a practical necessity, even if it's not a technical one.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, at this point, I don't think there's many questions relevant to this.
But yeah, like find the goals you want to. Find like the goals, how to find the people that share those goals, meet up and speed run or do whatever the hell you want. What?
I had a few comments to say about this.
Go for it.
Support of NASA.
Like any questions specifically? Because praise is fun, but like I want to see what info.
Just some general things to maybe make people feel more comfortable about coming to a speedrun event.
Oh yeah. I guess it's like, cause when with a group of speedrunners or video game players, there's gonna be socially awkward nerds. I mean that's like most of us probably.
Last year did.
You're not the only one.
Last year, NASA did a contradiction spot the liar finale. Will we do something like that this
Oh,
time? We have Grabbed by the Ghoulies.
Grabbed by the
currently.
Ghoulies, dude. It might. I don't know if it's as comfy as contradiction because that's like. Oh, I guess for comfiness, dude. Thomas was alone. That
Oh.
was the most snug
That
run.
was that was I was
That
running,
was
I was running tech
yeah,
there
that
for
was
that time.
that
That
was
was
right
comfy.
there.
But the thing is depending on when we finish, we might have some time left over extra. So there
Yeah.
might be some bonus stream stuff there. We might just throw some runs in.
Yes, I don't know. Do you have anything else?
No.
I think we might start switching
Potentially,
to the
yeah. So,
macro-natural gameplay.
As for the exact like tech side of stuff, Dark Areas, we'll be talking about that next year, or I
Yeah.
mean tomorrow,
Yeah,
next
tomorrow.
day.
Pretty
Next
much 24
year,
hours.
I don't know if we learn more shit, we could do an updated panel of what to do and not do.
Yeah, so I think we'll quickly maybe jump to this macro-natural gameplay and then some Symphony
Yeah,
of the Night.
essentially, yeah, macro.